Welcome to our quiet journey into the deep blue ocean. Please close your eyes and take a very slow breath. Slowly release the tension from your long and busy day. The noisy surface world is now fading into the distance. We are leaving the bright warm sunlight far behind us. Tonight we will explore a hidden realm of quiet shadows. You are completely safe inside this dark underwater sanctuary now. Please let the steady rhythm of the sea soothe you. Our vessel begins its very slow descent through the water. Feel your physical body become weightless in the cool current. The gentle rocking motion guides you toward a deep sleep. We sink below the turbulent waves of the ocean surface. The water around us turns a deep dark sapphire blue. Sunlight struggles to penetrate this expanding volume of liquid water. We enter the twilight zone of the deep mesopelagic layer. Here the ocean absorbs the last remaining red light wavelengths. Only faint blue light manages to reach this lonely depth. The surrounding temperature drops steadily as we continue sinking downward. Marine snow drifts past our thick viewing window like dust. These organic particles feed the gentle creatures living down below. We pass the 1,000-meter mark right about now. The last traces of solar illumination completely vanish down here. We have officially entered the midnight zone of the ocean. Absolute darkness wraps around our slowly descending deep exploration vessel. The bathypelagic realm stretches endlessly in every single compass direction. The water temperature hovers just above the cold freezing point. The hydrostatic pressure increases 1 atmosphere every 10 vertical meters. Our reinforced hull easily withstands the crushing physical water forces. You remain completely warm and comfortable inside the quiet cabin. We are sinking toward the distant abyssopelagic ocean rock floor. The depth gauge reads exactly 2,000 meters below surface. We are approaching the famous East Pacific Rise geological formation. This is a massive underwater mountain range made of basalt. Massive tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart in this region. Hot magma from the mantle rises upward toward the crust. The geological activity creates a unique and highly dynamic environment. We activate our exterior floodlights to pierce the heavy gloom. The bright beams reveal a barren and rocky alien landscape. Smooth pillow lava formations cover the rolling deep-sea terrain. Fine white sediment dusts the ancient volcanic glass down here. We glide silently over the dark and jagged ocean seafloor. The measured depth is now 2,500 meters. The ambient water temperature is exactly 2 degrees Celsius here. The physical pressure is 250 standard atmospheres. This extreme environment seems entirely hostile to any biological life. Yet a faint visual shimmering appears in the water ahead. We slowly steer our vessel toward the strange visual distortion. The cold water here is mixing with something incredibly hot. We have discovered an active hydrothermal vent field down here. Tall mineral chimneys rise upward from the flat basalt floor. Black smoke seems to billow from their open rocky peaks. This is not actual smoke burning under the ocean water. It is superheated fluid filled with dissolved dark earth minerals. Cold seawater seeps deep into the porous crust of Earth. The underlying magma chamber heats the trapped and salty water. Chemical reactions strip oxygen and magnesium from the trapped fluid. The heated water becomes highly acidic and rich in sulfides. It rapidly shoots back up through the rocky seafloor crust. The exiting fluid temperature reaches 350 degrees. It does not boil because of the immense ocean pressure. The scorching fluid meets the near-freezing deep ocean water. Dissolved minerals instantly precipitate out of the hot acidic solution. Iron and sulfur particles create the dark billowing underwater clouds. These heavy particles settle to build the towering vent chimneys. Some mineral structures reach the height of a tall building. The thermal gradient here is the steepest on planet Earth. Within a few centimeters the temperature drops incredibly fast indeed. It goes from boiling hot to freezing cold almost instantly. This violent chemical energy replaces the missing solar light energy. Sunlight cannot drive photosynthesis in this abyssal pitch-black realm. Instead, specialized bacteria perform a process called deep ocean chemosynthesis. They oxidize the toxic hydrogen sulfide from the thermal vents. This chemical reaction produces organic carbon for the hidden ecosystem. A lush biological oasis of life thrives around the chimneys. Giant tube worms with red plumes anchor to the rocks. Blind white crabs crawl over the hardened mineral crust deposits. Eelpouts swim lazily through the shimmering warm water thermal currents. We are looking for a very specific deep-sea resident. It is a unique creature perfectly adapted to thermal extremes. We seek the remarkable hydrothermal vent sea cucumber species tonight. Its scientific classification is known as the Chirodota hydrothermalis species. This animal belongs to the ancient Echinidae marine biological family. It looks like a translucent pink balloon resting very quietly. The creature lacks the typical hard skeleton of surface relatives. Its soft body perfectly matches the gentle deep ocean currents. We carefully observe one clinging to a jagged basalt rock. It sits peacefully at the outer edge of the vent. The water here is a comfortable 20 degrees Celsius warm. If it moves too close, it will most certainly boil. If it drifts too far, it will very quickly freeze. The sea cucumber maintains a perfect spatial and ecological balance. It relies entirely on the steady upward flow of nutrients. The vent field provides everything this unique soft animal needs. The deep sea is vast and mostly a barren space. These thermal vents are rare isolated islands of biological abundance. The sea cucumber navigates this tiny habitable thermal zone blindly. It has no functional eyes to see the glowing chimneys. It senses the chemical gradients within the dark water column. Specialized receptors on its skin detect the dissolved hydrogen sulfide. It moves with a slow and highly deliberate muscular grace. We watch its cylindrical body expand and contract very rhythmically. The steady motion is hypnotic and deeply relaxing to witness. The slow creature does not hunt or chase its prey. It lives a completely peaceful and sedentary deep-sea existence. A thick pale layer of bacterial mats covers the rocks. These tiny microbes form the base of the food web. The sea cucumber feeds directly on these continually growing bacteria. It uses specialized feeding tentacles located around its circular mouth. The soft tentacles extend like delicate petals of a flower. They gently sweep the rock surface with slow, methodical precision. Each tentacle collects a rich layer of highly nourishing microbes. The calm animal then pulls the tentacle into its mouth. It wipes the gathered bacteria off before reaching out again. This repetitive feeding motion continues without any anxious, stressful hurry. Time moves very differently in the eternal darkness down here. There are no changing seasons to dictate the biological cycles. There is no day or night to govern its behavior. The active vent provides a constant and steady geothermal energy. The sea cucumber lives in a state of perpetual dusk. Its simple nervous system processes only the most essential information. It feels the warm current smoothly flowing over its skin. It tastes the rich sulfur compounds dissolved in the water. It anchors itself firmly against the gentle upward fluid pull. The extreme pressure compresses any gases within its soft tissue. Yet its fluid-filled body prevents it from fatally crushing. Internal and external pressures remain in perfect calm physical harmony. The East Pacific Rise stretches for thousands of dark miles. It runs along the eastern edge of the vast ocean. Numerous vent fields dot this massive underwater volcanic tectonic ridge. Each field hosts its own unique community of strange animals. The Chirodota hydrothermalis thrives in these completely isolated deep pockets. Scientists first discovered these ecosystems in the late 1970s. The finding completely revolutionized our modern understanding of marine biology. Life could exist without the bright energy of the sun. The sea cucumber represents the quiet resilience of living organisms. It finds comfort in the most extreme earthly oceanic environment. The surrounding water is a toxic soup of heavy metals. Toxic copper and zinc precipitate from the towering black smokers. The sea cucumber has evolved biological mechanisms to easily survive. It sequesters the dangerous metals safely within its long gut. The animal cleans the environment as it slowly, peacefully feeds. It processes the microbial mats covering the hard basalt crust. Its slow digestion recycles organic matter back into the ecosystem. Waste products become fresh food for other deep-sea creatures. Everything is connected in this fragile underwater warm thermal oasis. We dim our submersible lights to observe its natural behavior. The active vent field emits a very faint infrared glow. Human eyes cannot detect this invisible spectrum of thermal light. Special cameras reveal the heat radiating from the mineral chimneys. The sea cucumber glows warmly against the freezing cold background. Its internal temperature matches the surrounding mixed warm water currents. The quiet creature is perfectly adapted to its thermal niche. It does not waste energy on unnecessary or rapid movements. Every action is calculated and incredibly slow and highly deliberate. This extremely slow pace is ideal for a restful sleep. Imagine yourself floating alongside this gentle and calm sea creature. The crushing pressure of the outside world cannot reach you. You are completely protected within the strong walls of tranquility. The steady deep hum of the vents lulls your mind. The rhythmic feeding of the cucumber deeply calms your thoughts. The deep ocean floor is a place of profound silence. Only the gentle sound of bubbling fluids breaks the quiet. The deep sea currents carry away your heavy daily worries. You are suspended inside a timeless and completely peaceful void. The Chirodota hydrothermalis continues its endless microbial slow grazing routine. It has survived down here for millions of evolutionary years. Continents have shifted while this creature remained perfectly calm here. Ice ages have frozen the distant bright surface world above. The vent sea cucumber never noticed the rapidly changing climate. Its secluded habitat shields it from global atmospheric weather events. The geothermal heat provides a constant and highly reliable blanket. The dark abyss offers ultimate sanctuary from the surface chaos. We watch the shimmering water distort the rocky basalt background. The optical illusion makes the sea cucumber appear completely fluid. Its translucent skin reveals the complex internal slow digestive tracts. You can see the dark sediment slowly moving through it. It is a peaceful living machine processing the ocean floor. The animal requires very little oxygen to easily survive here. The deep water holds dissolved oxygen from distant polar regions. Cold deep currents transport this vital gas across the globe. The slow circulation takes centuries to reach this lonely depth. The sea cucumber breathes through a specialized internal respiratory tree. It extracts the scarce oxygen with incredible and biological efficiency. Its simple heart pumps clear fluid at a slow pace. The peaceful rhythm aligns with your own slowly falling pulse. Your breathing matches the gentle swaying of the feeding tentacles. The extreme environment outside contrasts with the deep inner calm. Life always finds a way to exist in total harmony. The vent sea cucumber perfectly embodies this quiet, deep resilience. It asks for nothing but a warm and rocky surface. It gives nothing but clean sediment back to Mother Nature. We will stay right here and observe its quiet life. The deep ocean holds many more quiet secrets to uncover. The East Pacific rise continues to slowly shape the planet. The hydrothermal vents will keep pumping vital deep chemical energy. The Turridota hydrothermalis will keep slowly feeding in the dark. You can safely drift into a deep and restorative sleep. The abyss embraces you with its cold and gentle weight. Let the darkness cover you like a thick, heavy blanket. Rest peacefully now in the silent depths of the ocean. The vent sea cucumber possesses a soft and tubular body. It measures roughly 10 centimeters in total adult body length. This small creature weighs only about 15 grams on average. Its cylindrical shape tapers slightly toward the rear posterior end. The outer skin appears completely translucent in the dark water. Pale pink hues dominate its delicate and fragile exterior surface. You can see internal organs through this thin dermal layer. A lack of pigmentation characterizes most deep ocean vent species. The creature lacks true eyes or distinct visual sensory organs. It navigates the dark abyss using specialized tactile nerve endings. A gelatinous texture defines the epidermis of this unique holothurian. Water makes up over 90% of its total mass. This high water content prevents crushing under immense ocean pressure. Microscopic calcium carbonate structures provide support within the soft tissue. Scientists call these tiny skeletal fragments dermal ossicles or spicules. Vent sea cucumbers feature spicules shaped like tiny spoked wheels. These wheel structures interlock to give the skin some rigidity. They measure merely 50 micrometers across their widest circular diameter. The spicules scatter light from submersible vehicles in fascinating ways. A ghostly white sheen reflects off the smooth dorsal surface. 10 branching tentacles surround the anterior mouth of the creature. These peltate tentacles look like miniature trees with flattened tops. Each tentacle extends outward to gather food from the substrate. Fine sensory cilia cover the terminal ends of these branches. The delicate cilia detect chemical signatures of bacterial mats nearby. A sticky mucus coats the entire surface of every tentacle. This mucus traps microscopic organisms dwelling on the mineral chimneys. The tentacles can retract completely into the mouth for protection. A specialized muscular ring controls this rapid defensive withdrawal movement. The mouth itself faces downward toward the rocky ocean floor. 5 distinct bands of muscle run along the inner body. These longitudinal muscles allow the cucumber to contract and expand. Circular muscles wrap around the body like tiny invisible rings. Together they create a slow and rhythmic peristaltic crawling motion. The ventral surface features rows of specialized hollow tube feet. These tube feet operate using a complex water vascular system. Internal fluid pressure extends each foot toward the hard rock. Tiny suction cups at the tips anchor the animal securely. They must maintain a strong grip against powerful hydrothermal currents. The upper dorsal side lacks these gripping structures almost entirely. Instead of tube feet, the back hosts small sensory papillae. These fleshy bumps detect changes in water temperature and flow. The papillae appear as tiny white dots on the skin. Hydrothermal fluid can reach temperatures of 400 degrees Celsius. The cucumber stays in cooler zones around 2 degrees Celsius. Its sensory bumps warn the creature of dangerous thermal gradients. The body walls maintain a constant exchange of dissolved gases. Oxygen diffuses directly across the thin and permeable outer membrane. This species lacks the complex respiratory trees of shallow relatives. The cold deep water holds enough dissolved oxygen for survival. A long coiled intestine dominates the internal body cavity space. You can observe this dark tube through the transparent belly. The gut often appears black due to ingested mineral particles. Iron sulfide and manganese oxides fill the entire digestive tract. The digestive system extracts nutrients from the thick bacterial sludge. A large fluid-filled space surrounds these vital internal organs. This coelomic fluid transports nutrients and oxygen throughout the body. Specialized cells within the fluid help fight off potential infections. The creature continuously produces new fluid to maintain internal pressure. A porous internal plate filters water entering the vascular system. This structure is known scientifically as the internal madreporite plate. It connects to a circular canal surrounding the anterior esophagus. 5 radial canals branch off from this central water ring. They run the entire body length down to the rear. These canals provide hydraulic power to every single tube foot. Small bulbous sacs called ampullae store water for each foot. When an ampulla contracts, the corresponding foot extends outward firmly. This hydraulic mechanism requires very little actual metabolic energy expenditure. Slow movements conserve precious calories in the harsh deep ocean. The animal rarely travels more than a few meters daily. A thick layer of connective tissue supports the fragile epidermis. This dermis contains mutable collagenous tissue with remarkable physical properties. The sea cucumber can alter the stiffness of its skin. It can become rigid like leather within a few seconds. Alternatively, it can soften into a fluid jelly-like state. This ability helps the creature squeeze into tight rocky crevices. Nervous system signals control these rapid changes in tissue density. Calcium ions flood the tissue to bind the collagen fibers. Removing these ions allows the fibers to slide past freely. This unique adaptation protects them from predatory deep-sea crabs. The posterior end features a single multifunctional cloacal opening. This vent expels processed mineral waste back into the ocean. It also serves a secondary role in regulating internal pressure. The cloaca opens and closes with a slow rhythmic pulse. Tiny sphincter muscles control the aperture of this rear opening. Waste emerges as small cylindrical pellets of compressed inorganic sediment. These pellets crumble quickly in the turbulent hydrothermal vent currents. The animal uses a simple nerve ring instead of brains. This neural ring encircles the pharynx just behind the mouth. Radial nerves extend outward to coordinate the complex muscular movements. Epidermal cells secrete a thin protective cuticle over the body. This transparent layer prevents toxic heavy metals from entering tissues. High concentrations of copper and zinc surround the vent chimneys. The cuticle sheds periodically to remove accumulated dangerous mineral deposits. Underneath the cuticle, the skin feels smooth and completely frictionless. This smoothness reduces drag in the highly active water flow. Some species display a faint bioluminescent glow when physically disturbed. A pale blue light originates from granular cells within skin. The glow might deter blind predators using sensitive light receptors. However, most vent cucumbers rely purely on stealth and camouflage. A unique calcareous ring protects the delicate oral nerve center. 10 interlocking calcium carbonate plates form this internal skeletal structure. It provides a solid anchor point for the tentacle muscles. The shape of these plates varies slightly among different species. Taxonomists use these microscopic differences to identify specific holothurian lineages. The plates feature deep grooves where the longitudinal muscles attach. This ring sits just beneath the surface of the mouth. It remains completely invisible from the outside of the animal. The creature possesses no teeth or hard jaws for chewing. It simply sweeps soft bacterial mats directly into its throat. The esophagus leads directly into a slightly enlarged stomach area. This stomach section secretes powerful enzymes to break down bacteria. The bacterial cell walls dissolve quickly in the acidic environment. A long descending intestine absorbs the released proteins and lipids. The gut loops back toward the front before turning rearward. This looping increases the total surface area for nutrient absorption. Microvilli line the inner walls of the entire intestinal tract. These tiny cellular projections pull nutrients into the coelomic fluid. The digestive walls are remarkably thin and highly blood vascularized. A specialized hemal system distributes absorbed food to the muscles. The hemal system consists of tiny vessels running alongside intestines. These vessels lack a true heart to pump the fluid. Instead, the rhythmic contractions of the gut push fluid along. The blood lacks red hemoglobin and appears completely clear-colored. It carries specialized immune cells called coelomocytes through the body. These cells engulf foreign particles and repair damaged tissue areas. They congregate near the skin if a physical injury occurs. The sea cucumber can regenerate lost tentacles within several weeks. This remarkable healing ability ensures long-term survival near vents. Stem cells migrate to the wound site to begin rebuilding. The reproductive organs consist of a single branching gonadal tuft. This structure sits near the anterior end of the body. A short duct leads to a pore just behind tentacles. During spawning, the gonads swell significantly and become highly visible. They appear as milky white threads through the translucent skin. Males and females look completely identical from the outside perspective. Only microscopic examination of the gametes reveals their true sex. The animals release their eggs and sperm directly into water. This broadcast spawning relies on ocean currents for successful fertilization. The tiny fertilized eggs float away into the dark abyss. The overall body symmetry exhibits a unique 5-part pattern. This pentaradial symmetry is a hallmark of all Echinoderm species. You can see this clearly in the 5 muscle bands. However, the animal also displays a distinct bilateral body plan. It has a defined top, bottom, front, and rear end. This secondary bilateral symmetry aids in forward crawling along rocks. The ventral side rests flat against the rough basaltic substrate. 3 of the 5 muscle bands occupy this bottom surface. The remaining 2 bands run along the arched dorsal side. This arrangement provides optimal leverage for movement and secure attachment. The physical size of these creatures varies with nutrient availability. Areas with dense bacterial mat support much larger cucumber specimens. Some individuals can grow up to 20 centimeters in length. These giant variants weigh almost 50 grams when fully hydrated. Conversely, those living on the periphery remain small and stunted. The skin thickness also changes depending on the immediate environment. Cucumbers near active fluid flows develop slightly thicker outer cuticles. This provides extra protection against the harsh chemical mineral bombardment. The body shape remains incredibly flexible regardless of overall size. They can stretch to twice their normal resting body length. The hydrostatic pressure at vent depths is truly mind-boggling. It exceeds 250 atmospheres in most locations. The sea cucumber survives because its internal pressure matches perfectly. There are no gas-filled cavities to compress or collapse. Every cell membrane contains specialized lipids to maintain necessary fluidity. Without these lipids, the cold pressure would freeze cell walls. The proteins within their bodies also feature unique structural adaptations. They resist folding incorrectly under the immense weight of water. If brought to the surface, the creature would lose shape. It would melt into a formless puddle of gelatinous tissue. The tentacles exhibit a fascinating fractal pattern upon closer inspection. A primary stalk divides into 2 identical secondary branching stems. These branches divide again into smaller and smaller terminal nodes. This structural design maximizes the surface area for gathering food. Hundreds of individual microscopic nodules cover the final branch tips. Each nodule contains specialized secretory cells for producing sticky mucus. The animal extends these tentacles in a slow sweeping motion. It resembles a delicate flower blooming in the eternal darkness. When a tentacle is full, it bends toward the mouth. The mouth wipes the collected bacterial film off the branches. The base of each tentacle connects to a water ampulla. Fluid pressure forces the tentacle to unroll and extend outward. Muscle contraction forces the fluid back, retracting the feeding arm. This hydraulic system operates continuously without ever showing physical fatigue. The cucumber feeds constantly to meet its basic metabolic needs. It processes several times its own body weight in sediment. This daily processing shapes the microenvironment of the vent. The creature acts as a crucial vacuum cleaner for rocks. Its physical form is perfectly engineered for this specific task. Evolution stripped away unnecessary complex organs to maximize feeding efficiency. The absence of eyes highlights its reliance on chemical senses. Chemoreceptors dot the entire surface of the pale pink skin. These receptors guide the animal toward the richest bacterial pastures. The soft body easily navigates over sharp, jagged sulfide chimneys. Its mutable skin prevents lacerations from the rough volcanic glass. The vent sea cucumber remains a marvel of biological engineering. Its simple tubular appearance belies a highly specialized internal anatomy. Every physical trait serves a purpose in the deep sea. It thrives in an environment toxic to most marine life. This gentle creature rests silently in the warm vent currents. The vent sea cucumber relies on a unique energy source. Deep ocean habitats lack traditional sunlight for basic plant growth. Photosynthesis cannot occur within this permanent abyss of complete darkness. Life here depends entirely upon geological emissions from the seafloor. Hydrothermal vents release massive plumes of dark, heavily saturated water. Superheated fluids mix rapidly with the surrounding cold ocean currents. These volcanic emissions carry high concentrations of dissolved inorganic compounds. Hydrogen sulfide provides the primary fuel for this dark ecosystem. Methane gas also bubbles upward from the fractured oceanic crust. Microscopic organisms evolved specific enzymes to process these toxic chemicals. They oxidize hydrogen sulfide to manufacture complex organic carbon molecules. This biological process is known scientifically as deep ocean chemosynthesis. Chemosynthetic microbes form the absolute base of local food webs. These invisible organisms function like plants in the sunlit world. They convert pure geological chemistry into accessible biological food energy. The sea cucumber completely depends upon this microbial carbon production. It cannot farm these microbes inside its own body tissues. Some vent creatures harbor internal symbiotic bacteria for direct energy. The sea cucumber instead actively grazes upon external microbial populations. This makes it a primary consumer within the hydrothermal environment. Thick bacterial mats cover the jagged rocks near the vents. These microbial layers resemble white snow against the dark basalt. Some bacterial colonies appear as long filamentous threads flowing gracefully. Vegeatoa bacteria dominate many of these warm, heavily mineralized surfaces. Diathrix strains also form dense clusters along the chimney walls. These microbes thrive in water temperatures around 20 degrees Celsius. They anchor themselves securely to the rough, porous volcanic rocks. Millions of individual cells bind together using sticky extracellular polymers. This biological glue prevents them from washing away in currents. The mats grow thicker as more vent fluid washes past. A single square centimeter can hold billions of bacterial cells. These dense concentrations provide an incredibly rich potential food source. The sea cucumber navigates slowly across this abundant feeding ground. It seeks out the thickest patches of white bacterial growth. Sensory receptors on its skin detect the richest chemical gradients. The animal moves deliberately toward areas of high microbial density. It must balance food availability against dangerous vent fluid temperatures. Water exceeding 30 degrees Celsius can damage its delicate tissues. The creature remains in the safe mixing zone while feeding. It positions its soft body directly over the microbial harvest. The sea cucumber possesses highly specialized anatomical structures for feeding. A ring of retractable tentacles surrounds its central oral cavity. These feeding appendages evolved specifically for scraping soft bacterial mats. Chirodota hydrothermalis features 12 distinct peltate tentacles around its mouth. Each tentacle branches out into smaller flattened protective terminal discs. These flattened discs maximize the surface area for gathering food. Fine microscopic nodules cover the working surface of each disc. These tiny bumps provide physical friction against the slippery rocks. Specialized epithelial cells line the entire length of the tentacles. These cells secrete a continuous layer of thick, sticky mucus. The mucus acts like biological adhesive to trap loose bacteria. Internal hydrostatic pressure extends the tentacles outward from the body. Fluid fills the internal canals to make the appendages rigid. Muscle fibers within the tentacle walls allow precise directional control. The animal can bend and twist each appendage quite independently. Nerve rings coordinate the complex movements of the entire crown. This allows methodical harvesting of the irregular rocky vent surfaces. The tentacles can reach into narrow crevices between the rocks. They sweep across the bacterial mats with gentle brushing motions. The sticky mucus captures thousands of microbes with every pass. The feeding process operates as a continuous and rhythmic cycle. One tentacle presses firmly against the white bacterial mat layer. It drags slowly backward to scrape the microbes loose safely. The sticky surface gathers a thick coating of bacterial cells. Tiny mineral particles also stick to the adhesive mucus layer. The animal then retracts this loaded tentacle toward its mouth. It bends the appendage inward to reach the oral opening. The mouth features muscular lips that wipe the tentacle clean. The animal essentially sucks the mucus and bacteria mixture off. As one tentacle enters the mouth, another extends to scrape. This alternating pattern ensures a steady flow of incoming nutrients. The creature feeds relentlessly in the dark ocean vent environment. It processes massive volumes of material to extract sufficient energy. The bacterial mats regenerate quickly due to constant chemical supplies. Microbes can double their population within just a few hours. This rapid growth sustains the heavy grazing of the cucumbers. The animal rarely depletes its local food supply completely dry. It simply moves a few centimeters to find fresh pastures. The continuous sweeping motion clears away old dead bacterial layers. This grazing actually stimulates new microbial growth on the rocks. The swallowed mixture enters a muscular pharynx for initial processing. Strong circular muscles push the food mass deeper down inside. The material travels through a narrow esophagus toward the stomach. Deep sea cucumbers possess remarkably long and looped digestive tracts. The intestines often measure 3 times the total body length. This extended pathway maximizes the time available for nutrient extraction. The stomach environment maintains a highly acidic internal chemical balance. Specialized glandular cells release powerful digestive enzymes into the gut. Proteases begin breaking down the tough bacterial cell wall structures. Lipases dissolve the lipid membrane surrounding the individual microbial cells. Amylases target the complex carbohydrate stored within the bacterial cytoplasm. The high mineral content of the food requires careful management. Volcanic glass and heavy metals enter the gut alongside bacteria. The animal must separate toxic minerals from the biological nutrients. Mucus surrounds the sharp rock particles to protect intestinal linings. The digestive system selectively absorbs only the useful organic molecules. Amino acids transfer across the intestinal walls into the bloodstream. Fatty acids provide concentrated energy for the creature to survive. Simple sugars fuel the immediate metabolic needs of the tissues. The gut extracts almost all available carbon from the bacteria. The absorbed nutrients travel through the complex hemofluid system. This primitive circulatory network distributes energy to every living cell. The animal uses these basic building blocks for tissue repair. Cellular mitochondria convert the bacterial carbon into usable chemical energy. They generate adenosine triphosphate to power all biological muscle contractions. The sea cucumber requires significant energy to maintain its position. Strong bottom currents constantly threaten to sweep the animal away. Its tube feet demand continuous adenosine triphosphate to remain attached. The rhythmic sweeping of the feeding tentacles also consumes energy. The biological cost of living in the abyss remains high. Cold ambient water temperatures generally slow down standard metabolic rates. However, the warm vent fluids artificially elevate the biological processes. The cucumber experiences a faster metabolism than other deep species. This accelerated rate demands a vast and steady food intake. The rich bacterial diet perfectly matches this high energetic requirement. Chemosynthetic bacteria contain unique lipids rarely found in surface organisms. The sea cucumber incorporates these specific fatty acids directly inside. Scientists can trace these unique chemical markers through the environment. Isotope analysis proves the absolute dietary reliance on vent microbes. The carbon signatures match the local geological methane and sulfide. Eating near hydrothermal vents introduces severe toxicological challenges for life. The bacterial mats absorb heavy metals from the vent fluids. Copper and zinc accumulate within the microbial cells over time. Lead and cadmium also concentrate in the thick biological layers. The sea cucumber ingests these dangerous elements during normal feeding. Standard marine organisms would quickly succumb to heavy metal poisoning. The vent sea cucumber evolved specific physiological defense mechanisms internally. Its digestive tract features specialized proteins called metallothioneins for protection. These unique proteins bind tightly to the toxic metal ions. They neutralize the harmful elements before they damage cellular structures. The bound metals are sequestered safely within specific storage cells. Some toxins are expelled directly back into the surrounding ocean. The intestinal walls actively pump unwanted ions into the waste. This chemical filtration system operates continuously during the digestive process. It ensures the extracted energy remains pure and biologically safe. The animal sacrifices some metabolic energy to power these pumps. This defensive energy expenditure represents a necessary cost of survival. Without these adaptations, the rich bacterial food would prove lethal. This evolutionary adaptation allows access to unlimited deep nutritional resources. The creature thrives where other scavengers would certainly perish quickly. The final stages of digestion occur in the posterior intestine. The animal absorbs any remaining water from the processed material. The indigestible components form into compact cylindrical fecal waste pellets. These pellets contain empty bacterial husks and barren mineral particles. The cloaca forcefully expels the waste back into the environment. This excretion process plays a vital role in vent ecology. The discarded pellets fall into the crevices of the chimney. They provide a modified substrate for new bacterial colonies forming. Other tiny detritivores feed upon the slightly enriched expelled waste. The sea cucumber acts as a critical biological processing engine. It converts wild microbial mats into structured organic detritus falls. This helps distribute the localized vent energy slightly further outward. The feeding activity also prevents the bacterial mats from suffocating. Overgrown mats can block the flow of necessary chemical fluids. The grazing cucumbers keep the rock surfaces clean and productive. They maintain the delicate balance of the microscopic vent ecosystem. Their slow movements gently stir the boundary layer of water. This mixing brings fresh oxygen to the lower microbial layers. The relationship between the grazer and the bacteria seems perfect. One consumes the other while simultaneously ensuring its continued survival. Hydrothermal vents are not permanent geological features on the seafloor. Tectonic shifts can suddenly alter the flow of chemical fluids. A vent chimney may inexplicably shut down without any warning. The hydrogen sulfide supply stops flowing into the cold water. The thick white bacterial mats quickly die and dissolve away. The sea cucumber must prepare for these unpredictable famine events. It stores excess energy during times of peak microbial abundance. Specialized tissues accumulate dense lipid reserves within the body wall. These fat stores provide a critical buffer against sudden starvation. If the local vent dies, the animal must relocate immediately. It uses the stored lipids to fuel a slow migration. The creature crawls blindly across the barren, dark abyssal plains. It searches desperately for the chemical signature of another vent. This journey can take months of slow and exhausting travel. The lipid reserves slowly deplete as the animal searches continuously. Its metabolic rate drops to conserve the remaining precious energy. The feeding tentacles retract completely to protect their delicate structures. Many individuals perish during these long migrations between active vents. Those that succeed detect faint traces of new hydrogen sulfide. They follow the chemical gradient toward the next bacterial oasis. Upon reaching a new active vent, the feeding resumes immediately. The starving animal extends its tentacles toward the fresh mats. It eagerly scrapes the thick white bacteria from the rocks. The digestive system awakens to process the sudden nutrient influx. Lipid reserves are slowly rebuilt over weeks of constant grazing. The creature regains its lost mass and normal tissue volume. The energy harvested from the bacteria supports eventual reproductive efforts. Gamete production requires massive amounts of biologically available carbon molecules. The sea cucumber channels the vent energy into its offspring. This ensures the continuation of the species across the abyss. The feeding strategy remains perfectly tuned to this extreme environment. It represents millions of years of highly specific biological adaptation. The animal bypasses the sun entirely for its survival needs. It relies strictly upon the inner heat of the earth. Geological chemistry becomes living tissue through the mediation of bacteria. The humble sea cucumber masters this deep ocean energy transfer. It lives a slow, peaceful existence in the toxic dark. The rhythmic sweeping of its tentacles marks the passing hours. It consumes the sulfur-processing bacteria to sustain its life. The dark depths provide everything this resilient creature will need. The vent sea cucumber relies upon unseen microscopic microbial partners. Thriving bacterial colonies cover the dark ocean floor almost continuously. These tiny organisms convert toxic vent chemicals into usable energy. Hydrothermal fluid provides abundant hydrogen sulfide for deep microbial life. Chemosynthesis completely replaces photosynthesis within this sunless underwater abyssal ecosystem. The sea cucumber consumes these thick bacterial mats without stopping. Its entire digestive tract adapts to process dense microbial matter. Specialized biological enzymes break down tough bacterial cell walls efficiently. Essential nutrients transfer directly into the bloodstream of the animal. This highly unique diet sustains life at extreme abyssal depths. Specific gut bacteria reside permanently inside the long digestive tube. These internal microbes assist with complex chemical breakdown processes daily. They neutralize harmful heavy metals ingested from the surrounding sediment. Copper and zinc concentrations reach lethal levels near active vents. Symbiotic microbes bind these metals into harmless solid mineral deposits. The sea cucumber safely excretes these detoxified mineral pellets later. This internal purification system allows survival in highly toxic zones. Researchers identified dozens of unique bacterial strains inside one specimen. Each microbial species performs a specific vital metabolic function here. Together they form a microscopic ecosystem within the host body. Tentacles around the mouth feature specialized microscopic sensory receptor cells. These delicate structures detect dense bacterial concentrations in the mud. Chemical gradients guide the slow animal toward the richest feeding. The sea cucumber prefers specific strains of sulfur oxidizing bacteria. Certain microbes offer higher lipid content for vital energy storage. Selective feeding maximizes nutritional intake during every slow foraging movement. The feeding tentacles trap bacteria using a sticky mucus layer. This mucus contains antimicrobial peptides to control unwanted pathogenic invaders. Only beneficial food bacteria pass through this chemical defense barrier. The animal constantly secretes fresh mucus to maintain feeding efficiency. Digestion occurs slowly due to the cold deep ocean temperatures. Ambient water remains around 2 degrees Celsius away from vents. The elongated gut provides maximum surface area for nutrient absorption. Food moves through the digestive tract over several long days. Extended processing time ensures complete extraction of all available calories. Bacterial proteins transform into muscle tissue for the growing host. Fatty acids from microbes build thick insulating cell membrane walls. This specialized lipid profile maintains cellular fluidity under extreme pressure. Normal cell membranes would freeze solid at these abyssal depths. Bacterial symbiosis directly enables this crucial physiological pressure adaptation mechanism. The respiratory trees of the sea cucumber also host bacteria. These internal branching organs extract dissolved oxygen from seawater constantly. Water pumps rhythmically into the lower body cavity for respiration. Symbiotic microbes line the thin walls of these breathing structures. They consume trace amounts of methane dissolved in the water. This secondary feeding mechanism supplements the primary sediment grazing diet. Methane oxidation provides an alternative energy source during barren periods. The host animal absorbs organic carbon directly from these gills. Dual feeding strategies ensure survival in unpredictable hydrothermal vent environments. Adaptability remains essential for life on the dynamic ocean floor. Vent fluid temperatures fluctuate wildly over very short physical distances. The sea cucumber navigates steep thermal gradients during daily foraging. Its symbiotic bacteria tolerate sudden extreme shifts in water temperature. Specialized heat shock proteins protect microbial DNA from thermal damage. The host animal utilizes similar protective proteins within its cells. This shared genetic defense mechanism suggests a long evolutionary history. Millions of years shaped this perfect biological partnership down here. Neither organism could survive the vent environment completely alone now. They rely on mutual chemical exchanges for basic daily survival. This interdependency defines the ecology of deep ocean hydrothermal vents. Reproduction of the host requires careful management of bacterial partners. Developing embryos must acquire the correct symbiotic microbes very early. Adult sea cucumbers release specific chemical signals into the water. These signals attract free-floating beneficial bacteria toward the eggs. Microbes attach to the outer membrane of the floating larvae. They multiply rapidly as the young sea cucumber slowly develops. This early colonization prepares the juvenile for a benthic life. Without these specific microbes, the young animal cannot digest sediment. Successful bacterial transfer guarantees the continuation of the local population. The cycle of symbiosis renews with every single spawning event. Some gut bacteria produce essential vitamins lacking in the sediment. Vitamin B12 synthesis occurs entirely within the digestive tract. The sea cucumber absorbs these vital compounds through intestinal walls. These vitamins regulate nerve function and complex cellular division processes. Iron processing also depends heavily on microbial activity inside here. Bacteria secrete siderophores to capture scarce iron from the mud. The host shares this captured iron for its own biology. Oxygen transport in the blood requires constant new iron supplies. This microscopic mining operation sustains the massive sea cucumber body. Every biological system connects through invisible webs of chemical exchange. The epidermis of the sea cucumber features unique structural adaptations. A thick cuticle layer protects against highly acidic vent fluids. This outer skin constantly sheds to remove attached parasitic organisms. Beneficial bacteria sometimes colonize the newly exposed clean skin surfaces. These external microbes consume toxic hydrogen sulfide near the skin. They create a microscopic chemical shield around the slow animal. This biological buffer reduces physical stress on the host epidermis. The sea cucumber glides safely over scalding mineral chimney deposits. Its living bacterial armor absorbs the harshest environmental chemical blows. Nature finds elegant solutions to the most extreme physical challenges. Bioluminescent bacteria sometimes enter the digestive tract with the sediment. These glowing microbes usually die quickly inside the acidic gut. However, some resilient strains survive and multiply within the intestines. Faint blue light occasionally emits from the translucent animal body. Scientists debate the exact ecological purpose of this internal glow. It might deter potential deep-sea predators from attacking blindly. The light could also attract more nutritious prey into range. This accidental bioluminescence adds mystery to the dark ocean floor. The sea cucumber processes these light-producing microbes eventually anyway. Energy extraction remains the primary goal of all internal processes. Deep sea pressure affects the metabolic rates of both partners. At 3,000 meters down, pressure exceeds 300 atmospheres. Gases compress significantly under this immense weight of dark water. Bacterial enzymes change their physical shapes to function properly here. The sea cucumber provides a stable internal environment for them. It regulates internal acidity to optimize all microbial chemical reactions. This precise internal climate control requires significant daily energy expenditure. The resulting nutritional harvest easily justifies this biological energy investment. Efficiency governs every aspect of life in the deep abyss. Waste remains minimal within this highly refined symbiotic nutritional loop. The host immune system demonstrates remarkable sophistication and precise control. It distinguishes easily between beneficial symbionts and dangerous pathogenic threats. Special white blood cells patrol the lining of the gut. They ignore friendly bacteria while attacking foreign harmful microbial invaders. This selective tolerance prevents destructive internal immune system overreaction events. Chemical markers on friendly bacteria act as biological identification badges. The sea cucumber reads these markers during the digestive process. Communication between host and microbe happens through complex molecular signals. This silent dialogue continues uninterrupted throughout the entire animal lifespan. Harmony within the body ensures survival in a harsh world. Hydrothermal vents emit a continuous supply of valuable dissolved minerals. The surrounding sediment accumulates thick layers of fine metallic dust. Sea cucumbers swallow large volumes of this dense metallic mud. Their heavy intestines drag slightly along the soft ocean floor. Symbiotic bacteria extract organic material trapped between the mineral grains. They process sulfur compounds invisible to the naked human eye. The host animal absorbs the resulting simple sugars and carbohydrates. This biological alchemy turns toxic mud into pure life energy. The expelled sediment emerges completely stripped of all nutritional value. Clean mineral trails mark the slow path of the animal. Starvation risks remain high if a hydrothermal vent suddenly dies. Geological shifts can block the flow of vital chemical fluids. Bacterial mats wither rapidly without their steady hydrogen sulfide supply. The sea cucumber anticipates these dangerous environmental changes very early. It stores excess bacterial lipids within thick internal body tissues. These fat reserves sustain the creature during forced migration journeys. The animal must walk miles across barren abyssal plains alone. Internal microbes enter a dormant state to conserve precious energy. They awaken only when the host discovers another active vent. This incredible endurance relies entirely upon prior symbiotic energy hoarding. The sheer density of microbes inside the gut astounds researchers. Billions of bacterial cells occupy every single drop of fluid. This concentration far exceeds the microbial density of surrounding seawater. The sea cucumber acts as a highly efficient biological incubator. Warmth from the nearby vent slightly elevates internal body temperatures. This gentle heat promotes rapid bacterial reproduction within the intestines. Constant fluid motion prevents the microbes from stagnating or dying. Muscle contractions mix the internal contents with slow rhythmic precision. Every physical movement serves the greater purpose of mutual survival. Biology optimizes itself perfectly in these remote alien underwater landscapes. Scientists study these adaptations to understand early life on Earth. Ancient oceans likely resembled these toxic high-pressure vent environments. The sea cucumber preserves primitive survival strategies in its DNA. Its relationship with bacteria mirrors the earliest forms of symbiosis. Single cells eventually merge to create complex multicellular animal life. This deep ocean partnership offers a living window into prehistory. Genetic sequencing reveals ancient viral fragments within the host genome. These fragments help regulate the immune response to gut microbes. Evolution builds upon every successful biological experiment over countless millennia. The abyssal zone hides many more profound scientific mysteries today. Chemical energy flows upward through the dark deep sea ecosystem. Bacteria form the absolute foundational base of this unique pyramid. The sea cucumber acts as a primary consumer down here. Its massive body converts microscopic life into accessible animal protein. Larger predators occasionally feed upon these slow-moving benthic grazers. Crabs and deep-water fish rely on this transferred energy. Without the symbiotic bacteria, this entire food chain would collapse. The sea cucumber serves as a vital ecological bridge organism. It connects invisible chemical reactions to the broader animal kingdom. Life always finds a way to share limited abyssal resources. Some vent species cultivate bacteria on their outer physical shells. The sea cucumber internalized this farming process for greater efficiency. Internal cultivation protects the valuable microbes from harsh external currents. Violent hydrothermal eruptions cannot wash away the sheltered gut flora. This internal garden provides absolute food security in chaotic conditions. The host constantly monitors the health of its microbial crop. It adjusts nutrient flows to maximize bacterial growth and yield. This precise biological farming requires no sunlight or changing seasons. A perpetual harvest sustains the animal in the pitch black. Nature invented agriculture millions of years before human beings existed. The anatomy of the gut reflects this specialized farming lifestyle. Deep folds within the intestines create microscopic pockets for bacteria. These safe havens prevent microbes from washing out during excretion. A core population always remains behind to reseed the tract. The animal replaces its entire intestinal lining every few weeks. This renewal process clears out old inefficient bacterial colony growths. Fresh tissue provides a clean slate for young vigorous microbes. Continuous regeneration keeps the symbiotic engine running at peak performance. Cellular turnover demands immense amounts of raw materials and energy. The bacteria themselves supply the fuel for this endless rebuilding. Rest comes slowly to the creatures of the deep vents. The sea cucumber never truly sleeps in the traditional sense. Its biological processes hum quietly in the cold, crushing dark. Digestion and respiration continue their steady rhythm without any pause. The invisible microbes work tirelessly within their fleshy living universe. Together they endure the absolute extremes of our ocean planet. This silent partnership brings peace to a hostile underwater realm. We marvel at the quiet resilience of these deep survivors. Their hidden lives unfold far beneath the restless surface waves. The deep ocean keeps its ancient secrets safe and undisturbed. The vent sea cucumber always moves with very deliberate slowness. It navigates jagged mineral chimneys in the absolute pitch darkness. Hundreds of tiny tube feet firmly grip the basalt rock. Each step requires precise coordination of its unique hydrostatic skeleton. Internal water pressure drives fluid into tiny fleshy locomotive appendages. The deep ocean creature crawls just 3 millimeters per minute. This extremely slow pace conserves precious biological energy down here. Circular muscles contract along the soft cylindrical outer body wall. Longitudinal muscles respond by stretching the animal very slowly forward. Gentle peristaltic waves travel quietly from the tail to head. Small adhesive discs on each foot secrete a sticky mucus. This chemical glue prevents slipping on steep hydrothermal vent walls. Another specialized gland releases enzymes to dissolve the temporary bond. This constant attaching and detaching forms a smooth walking rhythm. The sea cucumber leaves a faint trail of clear slime. Bacteria quickly colonize these abandoned mucus tracts within several hours. The animal lacks eyes but senses the surrounding terrain perfectly. Specialized nerve endings detect microscopic vibrations in the cold water. It feels the rough texture of newly formed sulfide deposits. Careful navigation prevents accidental falls into the boiling vent fluid. Daily routines center entirely around finding and consuming microbial food. The creature extends 20 modified oral tentacles near its mouth. These feeding appendages resemble miniature branching trees in the dark. They glide across the rock surface with methodical sweeping motions. Each tentacle is covered in tiny sticky sensory finger bumps. The bumps capture thick layers of chemosynthetic hydrothermal vent bacteria. Once fully loaded, the tentacle curls inward toward the mouth. A central sphincter muscle wipes the collected microbes completely off. The clean tentacle immediately returns to the surrounding rocky surface. This rhythmic feeding cycle continues without pause for many hours. One single feeding session may last for 6 uninterrupted hours. The animal processes nearly 3 grams of material every day. It swallows both the nutritious bacteria and toxic mineral particles. A highly specialized gut separates organic matter from heavy metals. The intestinal tract measures 3 times the total body length. This elongated digestive system maximizes essential nutrient absorption rates effectively. Unusable mineral waste is compressed into small, dense fecal pellets. The creature expels these compact pellets onto the ocean floor. These discarded packages become food for smaller deep-sea scavengers. Foraging never stops because the deep sea lacks true seasons. Sunlight never reaches these extreme depths of the vast ocean. Therefore, the sea cucumber experiences no traditional day or night. Its internal biological clock relies purely on local tidal currents. When water flow increases, the animal becomes noticeably more active. Stronger currents deliver fresh oxygen and stir up loose nutrients. During slack tides, the creature enters a brief resting phase. It retracts its delicate feeding tentacles into a protective pouch. The soft body flattens slightly against the warm mineral chimney. Respiration slows down to conserve oxygen in the harsh environment. This dormant state rarely lasts longer than 2 full hours. Temperature regulation dictates much of the daily movement and positioning. Hydrothermal vent fluids erupt at nearly 400 degrees Celsius. Surrounding deep ocean water remains near a freezing 2 degrees. The sea cucumber seeks an optimal zone of 15 degrees. It constantly adjusts its location to maintain this thermal balance. Thermal receptors in the skin warn of dangerous heat spikes. If the rock grows too hot, the animal retreats downward. If the water turns too cold, it climbs slightly higher. This vertical migration happens gradually over several quiet, dark hours. Sudden shifts in vent flow can prompt an emergency escape. During an escape, the creature abandons its normal crawling pace. It forcibly expels water from its internal respiratory tree organs. This action propels the body upward into the water column. The animal flexes its muscles in an awkward swimming motion. It drifts helplessly on the thermal currents for several meters. Eventually, gravity pulls the heavy creature back to the bottom. It lands softly on a new section of the chimney. Tube feet quickly reattach to secure a safe, stable hold. Swimming requires massive energy and remains a rare extreme tactic. Most days pass without any need for such dramatic flights. Vent sea cucumbers are not solitary creatures in the deep. They gather in massive dense herds around active thermal vents. Scientists count up to 60 individuals per square rocky meter. These tight aggregations look like living carpets of pink flesh. The grouping behavior maximizes reproductive success in a vast ocean. Close proximity ensures successful fertilization during synchronized annual spawning events. Despite living closely, they show no complex social hierarchy structures. There are no designated leaders within these slow-moving herds. Each animal simply follows the strongest chemical food scent trails. They frequently crawl directly over one another without any conflict. Communication relies heavily on invisible chemical signals in the water. The creatures release specific pheromones to broadcast their general health. Other cucumbers detect these faint molecules using specialized skin cells. A distressed individual emits a unique warning chemical upon injury. Neighbors sense this alarm and slowly move away from danger. Favorable feeding grounds prompt the release of an attractant scent. This invisible beacon draws more individuals toward the rich buffet. The water around a vent swirls with these silent messages. It forms a primitive but highly effective shared sensory network. Physical touch also plays a minor role in their interactions. When two individuals collide, they briefly entangle their feeding tentacles. This gentle contact helps them recognize members of their species. They do not fight over prime feeding spots or territory. The bacterial mats grow fast enough to support the population. A scraped rock regenerates its microbial film in 2 days. Therefore, aggressive territorial defense would simply waste valuable metabolic energy. Sometimes a smaller cucumber rests upon a much larger one. The larger host ignores the extra weight on its back. They share the limited warm space with complete peaceful indifference. Harmony prevails in this harsh and unforgiving deep-sea oasis. The sea cucumber shares its habitat with aggressive vent crabs. These armored predators constantly patrol the rocky chimneys for food. However, the cucumber rarely falls victim to these sharp claws. Its soft skin contains bitter chemical toxins called protective saponins. A curious crab takes one taste and immediately backs away. The foul flavor provides an excellent invisible shield against attacks. Crabs learn to ignore the slow-moving pink fleshy tubes. Occasionally a crab steps heavily on a resting sea cucumber. The soft animal simply compresses its body to absorb pressure. It resumes its slow feeding once the heavy crab passes. Giant tube worms form thick forests near the cucumber herds. The cucumbers often crawl among these towering white chitinous tubes. They clean the worm shells by eating attached stray bacteria. This gentle grazing benefits the massive stationary deep-sea worms. Tiny vent snails also share the same crowded rocky surfaces. The sea cucumber glides over the tiny snails without harm. Its soft tube feet mold perfectly around the fragile shells. Different species exist together in a dense biological vent web. They all depend entirely on the toxic mineral-rich water. Competition remains low due to the endless, abundant bacterial supply. The hydrothermal fluid contains lethal amounts of dissolved hydrogen sulfide. Most marine animals would die instantly in this toxic cloud. The vent cucumber possesses special blood proteins to bind sulfide. This internal chemistry neutralizes the poison before it causes harm. It breathes by drawing water through its posterior cloacal opening. Two branching respiratory trees extract sparse oxygen from the fluid. The animal pumps water in and out with rhythmic pulses. About 10 distinct breaths occur during a single quiet minute. If the water turns too toxic, breathing temporarily shuts down. The creature holds its breath until the poisonous plume shifts. Maintaining a clean body is vital in this messy environment. Falling mineral ash constantly coats the skin of the cucumber. A thick layer of debris could hinder its smooth movement. To clean itself, the animal secretes a clear mucus layer. The sticky mucus traps the heavy falling black sulfide dust. Eventually, the entire dirty slime coat naturally sloughs right off. The cucumber emerges clean and bright pink from the shedding. This grooming process repeats every 3 to 4 long days. It prevents harmful bacterial infections from damaging the soft skin. A clean surface also improves the absorption of trace minerals. Deep-sea submersibles sometimes visit these remote alien ocean habitats. They shine incredibly bright artificial light onto the vent chimneys. The sea cucumbers do not react to the sudden glare. They have evolved without any functional light-detecting eye structures. However, they can feel the mechanical vibrations of the submarine. Strong thruster currents cause them to grip the rocks tighter. They flatten their soft bodies to avoid being blown away. Once the strange machine leaves, normal slow foraging immediately resumes. The brief disturbance leaves no lasting impact on their routine. Their ancient blind lifestyle continues exactly as it always has. Young juvenile cucumbers typically settle on the cooler outer edges. They require less food and avoid the dangerously hot zones. As they grow larger, they slowly migrate toward the center. The central vent provides thicker and richer bacterial food mats. A fully grown adult measures about 20 centimeters in length. Reaching this maximum size takes roughly 5 cold dark years. Their slow metabolism ensures a remarkably long and steady lifespan. Some individuals may live for more than 2 full decades. They remain anchored to their specific natal chimney for life. Only the death of a vent forces them to leave. Hydrothermal vents are not permanent features on the ocean floor. Geological shifts can suddenly cut off the hot fluid supply. When the heat stops, the vital bacterial mats quickly die. The resident sea cucumbers sense this tragic loss of food. They begin a desperate slow march across the freezing seabed. They must find a new active vent to survive here. This dangerous journey takes them into the barren abyssal plain. Without food, they slowly consume their own internal energy reserves. Many perish in the cold void between the thermal oases. The lucky survivors detect fresh sulfur trails and find salvation. Upon reaching a new vent, they immediately begin to feed. The exhausted travelers gorge on the fresh, thick bacterial carpets. They quickly integrate into the existing local sea cucumber herd. The resident population accepts the new arrivals without any resistance. Space is simply made on the crowded warm mineral rocks. They resume their identical slow rhythm of scraping and digesting. The biological cycle of the deep sea remains perfectly unbroken. Their resilient nature allows them to endure these massive upheavals. Adaptability hides beneath their simple and sluggish soft pink exteriors. They are true masters of survival in a toxic world. Imagine the quiet existence of this gentle deep-sea grazer. It knows only the texture of rock and soft bacteria. It feels only the gradient of soothing warmth and cold. The crushing pressure of the ocean provides a comforting embrace. There is no rush or panic in its daily routine. Every movement is calculated, steady, and wonderfully free of stress. The dark environment shields it from the chaotic surface world. Time loses all meaning in this perpetual black aquatic twilight. The steady flow of the vent provides a soothing hum. Life unfolds at a truly glacial and deeply relaxing pace. The vent sea cucumber continues its endless, slow, peaceful crawl. Its tiny tube feet step silently across the ancient stones. Tentacles sweep the dark rocks with a soft, rhythmic grace. The deep ocean protects this fragile community in absolute silence. Warm thermal currents gently wash over the dense, sleeping herds. They rest together in the comforting shadow of the chimneys. Toxic minerals sustain a delicate and beautiful balance of life. The slow breathing of the herd matches the ocean tides. Everything remains calm, steady, and perfectly still down so deep. The hidden world of the abyss sleeps in eternal peace. Deep ocean currents carry faint chemical signals toward the animal. Vent sea cucumbers lack traditional eyes for gathering visual light. The abyssal environment remains completely devoid of solar radiation penetration. They navigate absolute darkness using specialized epidermal sensory cell clusters. These tiny receptors cover the entire outer skin surface evenly. Some species possess modified dermal photoreceptors to detect faint glows. Hydrothermal vents emit a very weak infrared thermal radiation signature. The cucumber skin absorbs this dim thermal glow quite efficiently. This basic light detection prevents them from wandering too far. They stay within the life-sustaining perimeter of the chimney. Photoreceptor cells contain specialized opsin proteins within their cellular structures. These proteins undergo structural changes when struck by stray photons. A chemical cascade begins immediately after the photon is absorbed. Electrical impulses travel slowly along the decentralized peripheral nervous system. The creature perceives light not as images but as intensity. Moving closer to the vent chimney increases the perceived brightness. Drifting away causes the weak infrared signal to fade completely. This primitive vision guides their slow crawling across the rocks. They avoid the dangerous boiling water emerging from the fissures. Careful navigation ensures their survival in this extreme benthic habitat. Chemical perception serves as their primary method of environmental awareness. The surrounding water contains dissolved minerals from the earth crust. Specialized chemosensory cells concentrate heavily around their feeding tentacle tips. These microscopic receptors bind with specific molecules in the water. Each receptor type responds to a unique chemical compound signature. Dissolved amino acids trigger an immediate feeding response upon detection. The sea cucumber tastes the water to locate bacterial mats. Flowing currents bring these molecular clues from distant vent chimneys. The animal turns its body slowly toward the strongest scent. This gradient search method is known scientifically as positive chemotaxis. Hydrogen sulfide remains the most critical chemical in this ecosystem. Vent fluid contains massive concentrations of this toxic sulfur compound. The sea cucumber requires this chemical to feed symbiotic bacteria. Olfactory nerves process the precise concentration of dissolved sulfide molecules. Too much sulfide indicates dangerous proximity to boiling vent fluid. Too little sulfide means the bacterial food source is absent. The creature constantly seeks the perfect intermediate chemical concentration zone. Trace amounts of dissolved iron also stimulate their sensitive chemoreceptors. Copper gradients provide additional navigational clues across the mineral deposits. The animal builds a complex chemical map of its surroundings. Physical touch provides vital information about the rough basaltic terrain. Feeding tentacles feature thousands of tiny sensitive tactile nerve endings. These nerves fire whenever the tentacle brushes against solid objects. The sea cucumber feels the texture of the bacterial mats. Soft textures usually indicate a rich layer of edible microbes. Hard textures suggest bare rock devoid of any nutritional value. Tube feet along their ventral side also gather tactile data. They measure the structural stability of the underlying rocky substrate. Sensory papillae on their dorsal surface detect shifting water currents. Microscopic hairs bend when fluid moves across the outer epidermis. Spatial orientation requires specialized internal organs called statocysts for balance. These tiny fluid-filled chambers sit near the nerve ring. Inside each chamber rests a dense mineral particle called statolith. Gravity pulls the heavy statolith downward against sensitive ciliate cells. This physical pressure tells the animal which direction is down. Vent chimneys feature incredibly steep and treacherous vertical rock walls. The sea cucumber must maintain its grip on these inclines. Statocysts prevent the creature from accidentally tumbling into the abyss. If dislodged, the animal uses gravity sensors to right itself. Proper orientation ensures the feeding tentacles remain near the surface. Vent sea cucumbers lack a centralized brain for processing information. Their nervous system relies on a simple secumoral nerve ring. This circular nerve pathway surrounds the muscular pharynx and mouth. 5 distinct radial nerves branch outward from this central ring. These nerves extend along the entire length of the body. A complex epidermal nerve plexus connects these main radial pathways. This web of neurons allows localized responses to environmental stimuli. Touching a single tentacle causes only that specific appendage retraction. Information processing occurs simultaneously across the entire decentralized nerve network. This primitive system requires very little metabolic energy to function. Deep sea cold temperatures significantly slow down nerve signal transmission. Electrical impulses travel at a fraction of normal surface speeds. The sea cucumber reacts to external stimuli with deliberate sluggishness. Rapid reflexes are completely unnecessary in this slow-paced environment. Predators are rare near these toxic hydrothermal vent chimney structures. Nerve fibers lack the insulating myelin sheaths found in vertebrates. This structural absence further reduces the velocity of action potentials. Chemical synapses release neurotransmitters across microscopic gaps between adjacent neurons. Calcium ions trigger the release of these vital messenger molecules. The slow neural rhythm perfectly matches their unhurried grazing lifestyle. Hydrothermal vents create the most extreme temperature gradients on Earth. The surrounding abyssal water remains near a freezing 2 degrees. Fluid erupting from the chimney core exceeds 400 degrees. These two water masses mix violently near the vent opening. The sea cucumber lives precisely within this chaotic mixing zone. Water temperature can fluctuate dramatically over a few short centimeters. The anterior body might experience warm 20-degree ocean currents. Meanwhile, the posterior end rests in near-freezing ambient water. Surviving these massive thermal differences requires incredible internal physiological adaptations. Specialized thermoreceptors in the skin constantly monitor local water temperatures. Sudden exposure to hot water threatens to destroy cellular structures. High temperatures normally cause vital biological proteins to denature rapidly. The sea cucumber produces massive quantities of heat shock proteins. These specialized molecules act as microscopic chaperones within the cell. They bind to other proteins to prevent heat-induced unfolding. If a protein becomes damaged, these chaperones help refold it. This molecular defense system activates instantly when ambient temperature rises. The animal expends significant metabolic energy maintaining these protein shields. Without this adaptation, the creature would literally cook from within. Constant genetic expression ensures a steady supply of these protectors. Extreme cold presents an equally dangerous threat to cellular function. Near freezing temperatures cause biological membranes to become dangerously rigid. The sea cucumber alters the chemical composition of its lipids. They incorporate unsaturated fatty acids into their cellular membrane structures. These bent lipid molecules prevent tight packing at low temperatures. The cell membrane remains perfectly fluid and functional despite cold. This fluidity allows vital nutrients to pass through the boundary. Waste products can exit the cell without any structural hindrance. Enzymes within the body are adapted to function optimally cold. Their metabolic processes continue smoothly even at 2 degrees Celsius. Behavioral adaptations also help them manage the extreme thermal gradients. The animal uses positive and negative thermotaxis to navigate safely. They actively crawl toward comfortably warm water near the bacteria. When temperatures exceed 30 degrees, they immediately reverse their direction. This simple avoidance behavior keeps them away from boiling fluids. They map the thermal landscape using their decentralized nervous system. The sea cucumber finds the optimal zone for bacterial growth. This precise location provides maximum food with minimal thermal danger. Their slow movement prevents accidental plunging into lethal hot zones. Every step is calculated based on continuous thermal sensory feedback. Hydrothermal vents typically exist at depths exceeding 2,000 meters. The hydrostatic pressure here is absolutely crushing to surface life. Water weight exerts over 200 atmospheres of constant force. This immense pressure affects biological systems at a molecular level. The sea cucumber has evolved perfectly to withstand this environment. Their bodies lack any compressible gas cavities or internal bladders. Gas compresses under pressure, but liquid water remains relatively incompressible. The creature is composed almost entirely of dense liquid water. Internal pressure perfectly matches the external crushing weight of ocean. This fluid equilibrium prevents their soft bodies from collapsing inward. High pressure forces water molecules tightly around complex protein structures. This compression can inhibit normal enzyme function and chemical reactions. The sea cucumber utilizes unique organic osmolytes to counteract this. These small molecules are distributed throughout their internal cellular fluids. They stabilize the delicate three-dimensional shapes of vital proteins. Water molecules are prevented from crushing the fragile enzyme structures. This biochemical adaptation is absolutely essential for deep-sea survival. Without these stabilizers, cellular metabolism would halt under extreme pressure. The animal maintains a precise balance of these protective chemicals. Deep-sea gigantism is partially supported by these cellular mechanisms. The most important protective molecule is trimethylamine N oxide compound. Scientists refer to these pressure-resisting chemicals simply as piezolytes. Trimethylamine N oxide binds strongly to water molecules inside cells. It creates a protective hydration shell around vulnerable protein chains. This shell resists the crushing hydrostatic force of the ocean. The concentration of this chemical increases with greater ocean depth. Vent sea cucumbers possess exceptionally high levels of this molecule. It gives their flesh a slightly distinct chemical scent profile. This organic compound also helps regulate overall internal cellular osmosis. The biological machinery operates flawlessly beneath 2 miles of water. Deep-sea proteins possess slightly different amino acid sequence structures. They contain fewer weak chemical bonds than surface-dwelling organisms. High pressure easily breaks weak bonds in normal biological proteins. The sea cucumber builds proteins with stronger internal molecular connections. These reinforced structures resist deformation under massive deep ocean pressure. Their enzymes are specifically designed to be flexible yet durable. This flexibility allows necessary chemical reactions to proceed without interruption. The genetic code of the animal reflects these deep adaptations. Millions of years of evolution perfected this unique protein architecture. Every cell in their body is a marvel of engineering. Pressure also affects the physical state of cellular lipid membranes. Extreme weight forces lipid molecules to pack tightly together continuously. This causes biological membranes to transition into a solid gel. A solid membrane prevents the vital transport of cellular materials. The sea cucumber solves this through homeoviscous adaptation of lipids. They synthesize lipids with highly unsaturated and branched carbon chains. These complex molecular shapes physically cannot pack tightly under pressure. The membrane remains in a functional liquid crystalline state forever. Ion channels can open and close freely within this fluid. Nerve signals and nutrient absorption continue despite the crushing depth. Surface animals often rely on gas-filled spaces for buoyancy. Deep sea cucumbers completely abandon this hazardous biological design strategy. Any trapped gas would be instantly compressed to a fraction. Their entirely solid and liquid composition makes them practically invulnerable. They can theoretically survive being moved to even greater depths. The pressure simply passes through their watery tissues without harm. This physical reality allows them to inhabit the deepest trenches. They slowly crawl across the abyssal plains without pressure stress. The crushing darkness is their safe and permanent natural home. They experience the heavy ocean weight as a comforting embrace. The sea cucumber constantly processes a symphony of sensory data. Chemical tastes blend with thermal gradients and tactile rock textures. The decentralized nervous system harmonizes these inputs into physical action. A faint taste of sulfide triggers a slow forward crawl. A sudden spike in heat causes an immediate defensive retreat. The gentle tug of gravity keeps their tube feet planted. They exist in a state of continuous slow-motion awareness. Every microscopic cell contributes to the survival of the whole. The animal flows over the rocks like a living shadow. They are perfectly tuned to the chaotic hydrothermal vent environment. This deep-sea creature represents the pinnacle of sensory adaptation. They thrive where human engineering struggles to survive for minutes. The crushing pressure and boiling heat are merely everyday conditions. Their strange biology offers a glimpse into alien evolutionary paths. The ocean depths hide countless more mysteries waiting for discovery. The vent sea cucumber continues its endless slow grazing journey. It remains forever bound to the chemical warmth of vents. The dark abyssal waters cradle this remarkable and resilient organism. Its silent existence brings a strange peace to the deep. The slow rhythm of deep sea life continues completely undisturbed. The deep ocean currents carry faint chemical signals across miles. Vent sea cucumbers sense these subtle reproductive water changes easily. Their mating cycle relies on precise thermal fluid fluctuations completely. Mature adults gather near the active hydrothermal mineral streams now. The mating process begins without any direct physical contact occurring. They practice broadcast spawning within the dark abyssal ocean depths. Millions of tiny gametes release into the freezing surrounding water. This highly synchronized event maximizes chances of successful egg fertilization. Male sea cucumbers release white clouds of microscopic sperm cells. Female cucumbers respond by releasing thousands of buoyant orange eggs. Water temperatures near the vents trigger this sudden biological response. Both sexes lift their front bodies into the water column. They sway gently while anchored to the jagged basalt rocks. Muscular contractions push reproductive material through a single small pore. This garnipo sits just behind their front-feeding tentacle crown. Ocean eddies quickly mix the floating sperm and egg cells. Many gametes drift away into the barren deep sea void. Only a fraction of these cells will ever successfully unite. Producing massive quantities ensures that some offspring will definitely survive. The entire spawning event lasts for only a few hours. Deep-sea holothurians lack visible differences between males and females. Only the released gamete clouds reveal their true biological sex. Sperm cells swim using long flagella to navigate the currents. The unfertilized eggs measure roughly 2 mm in total diameter. They contain rich lipid reserves to nourish the developing embryos. These fats make the small eggs lighter than surrounding seawater. Chemical attractants guide the sperm toward the drifting orange spheres. One single sperm penetrates the outer membrane of an egg. A chemical barrier instantly forms to block other competing sperm. Fertilization is now complete in the cold pelagic ocean zone. The newly formed zygote begins to divide almost immediately afterwards. Cell division happens slowly due to the freezing ambient temperatures. Water outside the vent plume stays near 2 degrees Celsius. The buoyant embryos slowly float upward through the water column. They leave the toxic hydrothermal fluid zone far behind them. Rising protects them from benthic predators living on the seafloor. They drift in the bathypelagic zone for several long weeks. Ocean currents carry these embryos hundreds of miles away daily. This dispersal method allows the species to colonize new habitats. Without drifting far away, isolated vent populations would eventually die. The dividing cells form a hollow sphere called a blastula. Tiny hair structures called cilia grow on the outer surface. These cilia allow the embryo to spin gently in water. The sphere folds inward to create a primitive stomach cavity. This gastrula stage marks the beginning of true organ development. The embryo consumes its internal yolk supply for essential energy. No external food is needed during these early growth phases. Development takes much longer than in shallow water sea cucumbers. Deep sea coldness slows down all biological and metabolic processes. Finally, the embryo hatches into a tiny swimming larval form. The first larval stage is known as the auricularia phase. It looks nothing like the adult vent sea cucumber yet. The lava resembles a transparent microscopic slipper floating in space. Winding bands of beating cilia propel it through the ocean. These tiny hairs also sweep suspended particles toward its mouth. The auricularia feeds on marine snow and floating bacterial clumps. It remains in the water column for several long months. Transparency helps the lava hide from visual predators swimming nearby. It slowly builds enough energy reserves for the next transformation. The lava must reach a specific size before changing shape. The auricularia suddenly shrinks and becomes a round swimming doliolaria. This second larval stage stops feeding on the marine snow. Its ciliate bands rearrange into 5 distinct horizontal swimming rings. The doliolaria relies entirely on stored energy from previous feeding. It begins a slow descent back toward the ocean floor. Gravity and subtle downward currents assist in this long journey. The lava sinks thousands of meters through the dark water. Internal organs continue developing during this silent downward vertical fall. The primitive stomach reshapes to prepare for a benthic diet. It nears the abyssal plain where its parents currently reside. The sinking doliolaria transforms into the final larval pentacula stage. 5 microscopic feeding tentacles emerge from its tiny front end. The first tiny tube feet develop along its lower body. It finally resembles a miniature version of a sea cucumber. The pentacula is now ready to settle on the bottom. However, it must find a suitable active hydrothermal vent system. Landing on the barren mud would mean certain starvation quickly. The lava uses chemical sensors to detect dissolved hydrogen sulfide. It swims actively toward the rising plumes of warm water. These chemical trails serve as beacons in the absolute darkness. Finding a vent is the most dangerous part of life. Many larvae run out of energy before finding a home. They follow temperature gradients that point toward active mineral chimneys. The water slowly warms from 2 degrees to 10 degrees. This warmth signals that a thriving vent ecosystem is near. The pentacula extends its tube feet to prepare for landing. It touches the rough surface of a towering sulfide chimney. Sticky secretions from the feet anchor it to the rock. The long pelagic journey of the young cucumber finally ends. A new benthic lifestyle on the ocean floor now begins. The newly settled juvenile measures less than 1 millimeter long. It crawls slowly into a protective crevice on the rock. Deep sea crabs and fish easily consume these tiny juveniles. Hiding among dense tube worm clusters provides excellent safety from predators. The juvenile extends its 5 small tentacles into the water. It begins scraping bacterial mats off the warm mineral surfaces. These chemosynthetic bacteria provide rich nutrition for rapid early growth. The cucumber eats continuously to build its fragile body mass. More tube feet develop as the creature increases in length. The transparent skin slowly turns into a pale pinkish hue. Vent sea cucumbers grow much faster than other abyssal species. The abundant bacterial food supply fuels this accelerated development rate. They shed their microscopic skin layers as their bodies expand. New tentacles grow until they reach a total of 12. These feeding appendages become complex branching structures covered in mucus. The digestive tract lengthens to process larger volumes of bacteria. Calcareous microscopic ossicles form within the soft tissues for support. These tiny bone fragments look like perfect miniature wagon wheels. They provide structural integrity against the crushing deep ocean pressure. The pressure here exceeds 300 atmospheres on their bodies. It takes several years for a juvenile to reach maturity. Growth rates depend heavily on the local hydrothermal vent activity. Highly active vents produce more bacteria for cucumbers to eat. Diminishing fluid flows can severely stunt their overall physical growth. The young adults slowly migrate toward the prime feeding grounds. They compete for space near the warmest mineral fluid outputs. Reproductive organs internally mature during their third year of life. The gonads branch out like delicate white threads inside them. They prepare to participate in their very first spawning event. The life cycle circle closes as they finally become reproducing adults. Fully grown vent cucumbers reach about 20 centimeters in length. Their bodies remain soft and somewhat translucent throughout their lives. You can often see their intestines through the outer skin. Dark sediment fills their long digestive tracts like a vein. Adult skin lacks the thick leathery texture of shallow relatives. The deep ocean environment requires less physical armor for survival. They move sluggishly across the rocks using rows of feet. Their muscles contract in slow waves to push them forward. This lethargic pacing conserves precious energy in the dark abyss. Every movement is calculated and deliberate in this extreme world. Determining the exact lifespan of these creatures proves quite difficult. Deep sea environments lack seasonal changes that create growth rings. Scientists estimate their lifespans by measuring slow cellular metabolic rates. Vent sea cucumbers likely live for over 2 full decades. Some individuals might survive for 30 years under ideal conditions. Their longevity depends entirely on the stability of the vent. Hydrothermal vents are temporary geological features on the ocean floor. Earthquakes can suddenly alter the plumbing of these underwater springs. When a vent dies, the local cucumber population dies too. They cannot migrate across the freezing plains to another vent. Their extended lifespan relates directly to their incredibly slow metabolism. Cold ambient water keeps their internal biological clock ticking slowly. Cellular aging occurs at a fraction of the normal speed. They process oxygen very efficiently through specialized respiratory tree organs. Water is pumped in and out through their rear cloaca. This rhythmic breathing uses minimal muscular effort to sustain life. Low stress levels also contribute to their long peaceful existence. Few predators actively hunt adult cucumbers in the vent fields. Their toxic skin chemicals deter most curious crabs and octopuses. They sit undisturbed, filtering bacteria for years at a time. Survival over decades requires remarkable cellular healing and regeneration skills. Vent cucumbers can regrow damaged feeding tentacles within a month. If attacked, they can expel their internal organs as decoys. This drastic defense mechanism is called evisceration in marine biology. The predator eats the discarded organs while the cucumber escapes. Over several months, the cucumber regrows its entire digestive system. Special stem cells migrate to the empty body cavity quickly. They multiply and differentiate into new stomach and intestine tissues. The animal survives on stored energy while this rebuilding occurs. This incredible ability ensures they reach their maximum potential lifespan. Multiple generations of cucumbers share the same hydrothermal vent chimney. Grandparents and recent juveniles feed side by side in harmony. There is no territorial aggression between the different age groups. They simply crawl over one another to reach the bacteria. This dense clustering helps ensure successful reproduction during spawning events. Having adults of various ages stabilizes the local population numbers. If one spawning fails, older adults will try again later. Continuous overlapping life cycles create a permanent biological presence here below. The colony breathes and feeds as one massive living entity. Individual cucumbers perish, but the collective group survives for centuries. As the sea cucumber ages, its feeding rate slowly declines. The delicate tentacles lose their ability to gather bacteria efficiently. Old individuals gradually move away from the crowded warm zones. They settle on the cooler outer edges of the vent. Their bodies begin to absorb their own non-essential internal tissues. Eventually, the aging creature stops moving across the mineral rocks. It peacefully expires in the silent darkness of the abyss. The ocean wastes absolutely nothing in this highly extreme environment. Scavenging crabs and amphipods quickly consume the soft remaining tissues. The microscopic bone wheels scatter into the deep sea sediment. These tiny scattered bones become part of the permanent seafloor. Scientists study these fossilized remnants to understand ancient vent history. The physical body disappears completely within a few short days. However, the genetic legacy of the cucumber lives on elsewhere. Millions of its offspring now drift through the upper ocean. They carry the biological instructions to find new hydrothermal vents. This cycle of birth and death repeats endlessly down here. Nature balances the harsh environment with resilient and adaptable life forms. The vent sea cucumber perfectly masters this extreme deep existence. Its quiet life represents a triumph of slow biological persistence. The deep ocean remains a place of slow eternal rhythms. Time loses its meaning in the pitch-black abyssal depths. Generations of sea cucumbers will continue their silent underwater dance. They will spawn and grow beside the boiling mineral springs. Their drifting larvae will always seek out the warm plumes. Life finds a way to flourish in the absolute dark. You can rest knowing this peaceful cycle continues right now. The vent cucumbers are slowly feeding miles beneath the waves. Let their calm, persistent journey guide you into deep sleep. The mysteries of the deep sea will wait for tomorrow. The vent sea cucumber plays a very vital ecological role. It acts as the primary cleaner of the deep abyss. These creatures consume thick bacterial mats along the dark rocks. Chemosynthetic bacteria form the foundation of this dark marine ecosystem. Without sea cucumbers, bacterial growth would smother the active vents. They recycle essential nutrients back into the cold ocean currents. Their digestive tracts process toxic hydrogen sulfide with great ease. Waste material becomes food for smaller benthic deep-sea organisms. This continuous recycling sustains the fragile hydrothermal vent biological community. They maintain a delicate balance in a very harsh environment. Organic matter falls slowly from the upper ocean water layers. Marine snow mixes with the rich hydrothermal mineral dust deposits. The sea cucumber slowly ingests this highly complex chemical mixture. Specialized enzymes break down heavy metals inside their soft bodies. They convert raw minerals into usable biological energy food sources. Carbon and nitrogen cycle through their slow biological metabolic pathways. These animals prevent toxic buildup around the active mineral chimneys. Their constant grazing creates space for new microscopic larval settlement. Other invertebrate species depend on this cleared rocky basalt substrate. They serve as the quiet guardians of the ocean floor. Vent sea cucumbers also serve as crucial deep prey animals. Deep-sea octopuses occasionally hunt these slow-moving benthic creatures. Predatory crabs search the vent periphery for young juvenile cucumbers. Their soft tissues provide extremely rare protein in the dark. Energy transfers from bacteria to cucumber to large apex predator. This simple food web relies entirely on deep geothermal energy. Sunlight never reaches these depths to fuel any photosynthesis processes. The cucumbers bridge the gap between tiny microbes and macrofauna. They represent a massive concentration of deep-sea animal biomass. Their existence supports a thriving community of unique marine extremophiles. We can easily compare them to the giant tube worms. Rifsha pachyptila grows firmly attached to the tall mineral chimneys. These large tube worms lack both a mouth and stomach. They rely entirely on internal symbiotic bacteria for their food. The sea cucumber takes a completely different biological evolutionary approach. It remains highly mobile across the fractured basalt sea floor. It actively grazes on external bacterial mats for daily nourishment. Mobility allows the cucumber to escape sudden thermal temperature changes. Tube worms must endure whatever thermal shifts occur nearby them. The cucumber simply crawls away from dangerously hot boiling water. Consider the famous yeti crab with its long hairy arms. Kiwa hirsuta farms bacteria directly on its own front claws. The vent sea cucumber does not farm its own food. It harvests wild bacteria growing naturally on the rocky surfaces. The Pompeii worm lives inside tubes near extremely boiling water. Alvanella pompejana tolerates temperatures reaching up to 80 Celsius degrees. Vent cucumbers prefer the much cooler periphery of the field. They thrive in water around 4 to 10 Celsius degrees. Their biological strategies reflect different zones of deep vent life. Each species occupies a highly specific thermal underwater microhabitat niche. Swarms of blind shrimp dominate the mid-Atlantic Ocean ridge. Rimicaris exoculata cluster tightly around the smoking black smoker chimneys. These shrimp constantly swim to maintain their precarious spatial positions. The sea cucumber expends far less kinetic energy to survive. It moves at a glacial pace along the muddy bottom. Slow movement conserves precious calories in the freezing cold darkness. Shrimp rely on modified gills to host tiny chemosynthetic bacteria. Cucumbers use feeding tentacles to shovel food directly into mouths. Both methods successfully exploit the toxic vent fluid water chemistry. Life finds highly diverse ways to harvest energy down here. Human industry now threatens these remote deep-sea aquatic ecosystems. Mining companies seek valuable polymetallic sulfides from the ocean vents. These mineral deposits contain copper, zinc, gold, and pure silver. Extracting these metals would destroy the hydrothermal rock chimney structures. Heavy machinery would crush the fragile benthic vent sea cucumbers. Their slow reproductive rates make future population recovery extremely difficult. Mining operations generate massive clouds of suspended ocean sediment particles. These artificial dust plumes can travel for many nautical miles. Sediment would easily clog the delicate feeding tentacles almost completely. The cucumbers would slowly starve in a heavily clouded ocean. Deep-sea mining also introduces severe noise pollution deep underwater. Industrial grinding disrupts the quiet acoustic environment of deep vents. Many deep-sea animals use subtle vibrations to safely navigate. Bright lights from submersibles can blind sensitive deep marine organisms. The sea cucumber lacks eyes but senses subtle chemical gradients. Pollution from mining machinery alters the local fluid chemical signatures. This sensory disruption confuses their ability to find food sources. Hydraulic fluids and heavy oils could leak into the water. Toxic industrial chemicals add unnatural stress to the fragile ecosystem. We must carefully consider the impact of deep ocean mining. Climate change presents another silent threat to the deep abyss. The global ocean absorbs vast amounts of surface carbon dioxide. This process leads to gradual ocean acidification over much time. Acidic water dissolves the delicate calcium carbonate internal biological structures. Some sea cucumbers possess tiny calcareous ossicles within their skin. Lower acidity levels weaken their structural integrity and physical defenses. Warming surface waters also affect deep ocean thermal current circulation. These currents transport essential dissolved oxygen to the deep sea. Reduced oxygen levels threaten all aerobic deep-sea marine life. Even extremophiles require stable conditions to survive and truly thrive. Scientists study these creatures to understand extreme biological physiological adaptation. Their bodies withstand pressures exceeding 300 standard pressure units. Proteins normally fold and collapse under such immense water weight. The vent cucumber possesses unique molecular structures for physical stability. Specialized molecules prevent their cellular enzymes from deforming too easily. Researchers analyze these proteins for potential industrial modern biotechnology applications. Understanding pressure resistance helps us design better deep ocean submersibles. Their heavy metal tolerance also fascinates modern marine biochemical researchers. They safely sequester toxic cadmium and lead inside body tissues. This biological mechanism could inspire new water purification filtration technologies. Medical science looks to the deep sea for novel cures. Vent sea cucumbers produce unique defensive chemical compounds completely naturally. These compounds deter predators in the harsh deep vent environment. Laboratory tests show these chemicals possess strong antibacterial healing properties. They might yield new antibiotics for drug-resistant human infections. Their tissue regeneration abilities also attract highly significant scientific interest. A sea cucumber can regrow damaged internal organs almost completely. Studying this process could advance human cellular tissue engineering research. The secrets of cellular regeneration hide in the pitch dark. Every collected specimen offers a library of hidden genetic information. Studying the vent cucumber reveals complex ecosystem dynamic population shifts. Hydrothermal vents are highly ephemeral and temporary ocean geological features. A single vent may remain active for mere fleeting decades. When the vent dies, the local ecosystem collapses almost entirely. Scientists track how sea cucumbers migrate to new active vents. Their larval stages drift on deep ocean thermal water currents. Understanding this dispersal helps map the deep-sea biological connectivity. It shows how isolated communities exchange vital species genetic material. This knowledge is crucial for establishing protected marine sanctuary areas. We must protect these unique habitats from destructive human exploitation. These deep-sea ecosystems connect to our own biological origins. Many scientists believe life began at ancient deep hydrothermal vents. Alkaline vents provided chemical gradients necessary for early cellular metabolism. The first cells likely harvested energy from toxic hydrogen sulfide. Vent sea cucumbers still rely on this ancient ocean chemistry. They represent a living link to the primordial planet Earth. Their ecosystem operates independently of the distant warming yellow sun. This mirrors the harsh conditions of the early young planet. Life found a way to thrive in absolute pitch darkness. The abyss holds the memory of our original biological genesis. This research extends far beyond our own pale blue planet. Astrobiologists study vent creatures to understand potential distant alien life. Jupiter possesses an icy moon known as Europa orbiting nearby. Europa hides a vast liquid water ocean beneath surface ice. Tidal forces generate immense heat deep within its rocky core. Scientists suspect hydrothermal vents exist on the dark European seafloor. If life exists there, it might resemble our vent communities. Alien organisms would rely on chemosynthesis instead of warm sunlight. The vent sea cucumber proves complex life survived utter darkness. It expands our definition of a habitable outer planetary zone. Saturn also hosts a fascinating icy moon named Enceladus nearby. Cassini spacecraft detected silica particles erupting from its south pole. These particles strongly indicate active hydrothermal vents down far below. Hydrogen gas was also found in the frozen water plumes. Hydrogen serves as an excellent energy source for alien microbes. Where microbes thrive, larger grazing organisms might eventually naturally evolve. A creature like the vent cucumber could theoretically exist there. It would slowly crawl across alien rocks in total darkness. Our deep ocean is a perfect laboratory for early astrobiology. It prepares us for future missions to distant icy moons. The deep sea remains a realm of profound dark mystery. We have mapped more of Mars than our own seafloor. Every expedition to the abyss reveals entirely new biological species. The vent sea cucumber is just one small hidden marvel. It demonstrates the incredible resilience of biological marine life forms. Nature adapts to the most extreme conditions imaginable down here. Total darkness and crushing pressure cannot stop life flourishing entirely. Toxic chemicals become the foundation of a vibrant, thriving ecosystem. This resilience offers a deep sense of quiet, lasting hope. Life always finds a way to persist and truly flourish. Imagine the peaceful silence of the deep, dark ocean floor. Currents move slowly across the jagged black basalt volcanic rocks. The water temperature hovers just above the cold freezing point. Faint shimmering heat rises from the active hydrothermal mineral chimneys. The vent sea cucumber continues its slow, rhythmic daily grazing. It feels no rush and knows no bright daily sunlight. Time moves differently in the eternal darkness far down here. There are no seasons to mark the passing calendar years. There is only the steady flow of warm geothermal energy. It is a world of absolute calm and lasting stability. Let your mind drift down to this quiet, peaceful place. Leave the bright, noisy world far above the ocean's surface. Sink into the comforting embrace of the deep, dark ocean. The crushing pressure becomes a gentle, heavy, warm, soothing blanket. The absolute darkness soothes your tired and very weary eyes. Listen to the slow, steady rhythm of the deep currents. Breathe in slowly, matching the pace of the deep sea. Breathe out, releasing all the tension of the waking day. The sea cucumber rests peacefully on the soft ocean sediment. You can also find your own rest right here now. Your thoughts slow down like the cold deep ocean water. Worries dissolve into the vast endless ocean of the night. The rhythmic movement of the sea lulls you very deeply. Every muscle relaxes as you sink deeper into calm sleep. The mysteries of the abyss watch over your quiet dreams. Nature moves at its own perfect, unhurried and gentle pace. There is nothing left for you to do here today. There is nowhere else you need to be here tonight. Just exist in this calm, silent and deeply peaceful space. Let the gentle ocean currents carry you away completely tonight. The deep sea sleeps in its eternal dark quiet peace. The hydrothermal vents pulse with slow rhythmic and steady warmth. The vent sea cucumber settles into the soft ocean sand. It is completely safe in its hidden dark underwater world. You are also safe in your warm and comfortable bed. Let the silence of the abyss fill your resting mind. Embrace the profound tranquility of the deep blue ocean sea. May your dreams be as vast as the deep ocean. May your rest be deep, uninterrupted and truly physically restorative. Good night, dear listener, and sleep well in the quiet dark.